Hello, Sanford. You are listening to the Sanford Sports Radio. My name is Jonathan West, and welcome to the final edition of the Howler for this year of Sanford College football. As we're talking bowl games this week, and it's all about Sanford taking on Northwestern, as they will be the home team in the Little Cesars Pizza Bowl. If that bowl game sounds familiar, well, it's the same bowl game that Sanford took part in last season. So Sanford gets an opportunity to really kind of fight their way back and maybe put a W on the board this time in Ford Field. It hasn't been a good time in Ford Field for these Coyotes. Hopefully they can finally get a W there. We'll see as the time progresses. The game is going to be taking place in just a couple weeks, so we've got a little bit of time before that game takes place. But nonetheless, there's a lot of big bowl games going on. Of course, you have the Orange Bowl as always, the All-State Sugar Bowl. There's always the big ones. And of course, the biggest one of them all, the BCS National Championship, the big one to talk about. And conveniently, I know there's going to be some fans out there that are going to be excited for this one. It's UCLA hosting, in a shock of all things, the West Virginia Mountaineers. That is a very surprising matchup, folks. Now, I know we normally talk mainly Sanford football, but I got to talk about this one. Who in their right mind believed the West Virginia University or University of West Virginia Mountaineers would be taking on the Bruins? I didn't peg that as the national title game. It's definitely going to be one to check out as this season comes to a close, but it's going to be a very interesting game to say the least. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that one, not only that it is the BCS national title, but to see how West Virginia fares against UCLA, who has been dominant all season long. We're going to be talking about the conference championship games and how they ended up here in just a bit, and UCLA quite dominant in the Pac-12 conference game. I won't spoil the score of that game just yet. We'll wait on that one. Of course, the Rose Bowl, you got Wisconsin versus Georgia, which is sure to be a big one. The Fiesta Bowl, Oklahoma, the former champs, versus Minnesota. The Sugar Bowl is Auburn versus Tulane. Georgia Tech versus Arizona State in the Orange Bowl. And, of course, West Virginia, UCLA, the big money game, the BCS national title game. Now let's talk about award winners. First up is the Maxwell Award. That was won by DeAndre Furby of Western Kentucky. He also took the Walter Camp home with him as well. Just to point out, you're going to be hearing a lot about Western Kentucky running back, I'm sure. As the Nagurski is won by Charles Wright out of Vanderbilt. The O'Brien, Shauna White, surprisingly takes it from Auburn. A little surprise there. I expected Josh Rosen to be one of the top contenders for that one. So there's your surprise there, if you ask me. Once again, DeAndre Furby being talked about as the winner of the Walker Award. That is the top running back in the nation. The Bolitnikov goes to, please, I apologize, Moroni Laluu. You know what? I'm not even going to try. Cameron Green, Northwestern's tight end. We'll be seeing him in a couple weeks. He takes home the Mackey. The Outland Award is won by Michael Dieter for best offensive lineman. Michael Dieter also takes home the Remington. The Lombardi was taken home by Jabril Frazier from Boise State. Best linebacker will also go to Charles Wright. So Vanderbilt's linebacker takes home 2 awards. The Thorpe goes to Adonis Alexander. Richard Cruz, though, was 9th in the running for that. So it's nice to see a Sanford Coyote get a little bit of respect in the award sections. Emmett Carpenter wins the Groza, which is Best Kicker Award. And the Ray Guy Award goes to Sam Loy. I believe that's how you would pronounce that, Loy or Low, from Vanderbilt. The best returner is Bolu Oloru Olorun Funmi. I know I mispronounced that entirely, and I apologize, but man, that's a hell of a last name, isn't it? As we talk about All-Americans, sadly, no Sanford player made first team. However, a Sanford player did make second team. I'm extremely excited to talk about that. However, we do have to talk about one player for Northwestern, of course, that is Green, the tight end. He made first team All-American, so we know who's going to be the big guy to watch, that number 84 tight end, in a couple weeks. Got to keep our eyes on him, that's for sure. But it was really mainly dominated by the big schools. There was no somewhat surprises. There was Jack Waltz, the outside linebacker from Bowling Green. Nice to see at least one MAC player make it in the first team. But Jack Waltz, really the only surprise. USF did have their linebacker Reeves make it, but more than anything, it was a lot more of the big name schools that you expect to hear. Emmett Carpenter, the kicker out of Minnesota, of course, your award winners, all making it high up there. But that'll take us to the second team, which is a much more interesting one to talk about. Will Grier leads that one, and of course, he's the West Virginia quarterback. Going to see him match up with Josh Rosen. Ought to be an interesting one. Some other guys to keep in mind here. You had McInnes from Arkansas State, a Sun Belt Conference school. You had him make the All-American team. There were a couple surprising schools, really, that made here. You expect a lot of the big names always with the All-NCAA teams. But you did have Cincinnati. Their wide receiver Lewis made it. Other than that, it was a lot of the big names. Although, when you talk about the secondary, you have to talk about Sanford, as I'm seeing here. Wright made it from Vanderbilt, of course, the award winner. And Richard Cruz, the only Sanford College Coyote to make it on the All-NCAA team. He made it second team. That is just enormous to see. I can't be happier seeing a Coyote there. That is just so exciting. I personally did not believe we'd see a single Coyote make All-NCAA, but you can't argue with the senior season that Richard Cruz has had. 5'11", 171, 6 interceptions leading the team. He has had an amazing year. 7 deflections, ties what he had last year, and of course the one defensive touchdown, the pick 6 for interception number 6. Just a great year overall for Richard Cruz, and it's so great that it gets to happen in his last year as a Coyote. I may be just a guy who calls games and really goes over everything with you folks, but man, is it going to be tough to not see Richard Cruz in a Coyotes uniform after this season. It's going to be tough. Bozeman, the free safety from Bowling Green, made the second team. Red Wine, of course, the cornerback who won the award, gets on there as well above Richard Cruz. But let's talk about All-MAC, though. Because when you talk about All-MAC All-Americans, we're going to be talking about a lot of teams that we talk about a lot. Toledo has a ton. Miami of Ohio, of course, they faced off against Western Michigan in the conference championship game. They have a ton of players in this All-MAC team. Bowling Green has a couple. Toledo has plenty. I mean, there's a ton to talk about, but the one school I want to talk about, and we have to talk about, is the Sanford College Coyotes. They had a number of guys on defense make this All-American team. And the first man to talk about is the big defensive tackle, sophomore Joe Irvin. He has now made the All-American team twice. That's his freshman and sophomore year. He's made it. 8 quarterback sacks this year, ties what he did last year, hoping to see that number increase, I'm sure, next year. Not as big of a year as he had last year, but he's still got a ton of production getting to the quarterback, and that's all this team really wants from him, is that big production getting to the quarterback. He is the pass rusher from the inside, and he's going to do even more next year without Elliott Flowers beside him. And Elliott Flowers, one of the names I'm surprised wasn't even on the All-American list. He was a very surprising snub, in my opinion. Nate Trawick, another big defensive tackle making it. That's Miami of Ohio's defensive tackle. Of course, we talked earlier about Jack Waltz, and we already talked about Richard Cruz. Obviously, he made All-MAC first team, making it to the All-NCAA team. But you also had his fellow cornerback and teammate, Flash Gibson. The sophomore makes it first team All-MAC. Now, I have gotten a chance to talk to Coach Wolf about Flash Gibson with his play and how well it has been these past 2 years. 5 interceptions this year after 6 last year. He has already been penciled in to take over for Richard Cruz on the outside. So that's going to be exciting. Gibson and Jordan will take over for the outside cornerback positions. So it'll be fun to watch Gibson, especially if he's going to take over the number 1 corner position. He's got a big test ahead of him, and I can't wait to see it next season. It's going to be one of, I think, the more fun things to watch with this defense, with all these big names leaving this team this year. We're going to get to see Justin Moss come in and play a little bit more D-tackle. Otis Griffin is going to lead that middle linebacker spot. Now Flash Gibson's going to pretty much lead the cornerbacks. It's going to be a fun situation to see as Justin Tranquil and Bozeman round out the safeties. Dowd and Martin to round out the first team All-Americans along with Dahmer at return man. Now the second team though is where we see a number of Coyotes multiple places. No Herb Fellows, not a surprise, he didn't have a big year this year. No receiver really did. I'm a little surprised not to see Claude Fleming. However, of course, those concussions probably caused a little bit of an issue with his stats and not living up to All-American capability. But still a little bit surprised to not see him there. Although a Coyote who is on the second team, it is Duron Costello, the big tight end. The junior who's got one more year of eligibility next year. And I am more excited than anything to see him in his final season. He's had a solid year, nothing great. It's very similar to his year last year. He was down in receiving yards and receptions, but he did match his total receiving touchdowns at 2. So it was a solid day. Solid year. Big thing though was of course his drops decreased substantially. He had 7 last year, only 1 this year. Can't wait to see him next year. He might be an even bigger part of that passing attack with maybe even new quarterbacks coming in. We know about the recruits that Sanford's trying to pull in. Now a Coyote we don't talk much about, Evan Adams, the right guard. His first year starting for Sanford, he came in at the city year after the transfer. And he had a great year, only gave up 1 sack the entire season. This kid is the real deal at right guard. And he's going to be a core of that offensive line for the next 2 years. It's going to be fun to see. It's going to definitely be fun to watch Adams, or at least for his last year here next year. And I'm sure this team is going to be looking at offensive linemen recruiting-wise next year for sure. As Deshaun Hollis also making the list here for all NCAA, all MAC, All-Americans. And you can't be surprised at that. You cannot be surprised. He had a very solid year. Once again, very similar on his sack numbers. Had 4 last year, 3 this year. Had less tackles, which is a little surprising. But I think it's solely because the passing attack was as deadly as it was against this team this year. He didn't really get a chance to stop the run as much as normal. So, a little bit of a down year, some would say, for Deshaun Hollis. But those sack numbers were very steady, and that's kind of what you want to see with a guy like Hollis. He's still got 2 years left here at Sanford, so there is still time for him to become the big weapon that this coaching staff believes he is. Now let's keep going down this All-MAC lineup. Trotter, the defensive tackle for Ohio, makes the list. You have Daniel Jackson of Western Michigan, Alex Grace, where you know him very well as he picked off Tanner Patrick in the last game between Western Michigan and Sanford. Ingram makes it. Obi Jackson. And, of course, you can't talk about anybody other than Jason Turner, the undersized safety at 5'8", 188, a senior who really won over the hearts of the Coyote faithful. It's going to be tough to watch him go. This secondary is changing in Sanford after this year. And Turner's a tough guy to watch go. He didn't get as many tackles as last year, 84 last year, 59 this year. But he still had a very solid year. 1 interception, 2 deflections, no forced fumble, surprisingly, but there was a lot more throws towards Pat Riley, trying to take advantage of the younger player there at safety. But a good year nonetheless for Jason Turner. He still led the team in tackles. So you got to give it up to him. It's going to be tough to see him go, and this is a big part of a big leader on that defense that they're going to be losing. And finally, the last Coyote to talk about is freshman kicker Jackson Stone. He was perfect. There's not much more to say. His long was 49 yards, and he was flawless. 10 of 10, 100% on his extra points. Did not handle kickoff duties. That was Sammy Carter, so nothing to talk about for touchbacks. But he was just perfect on the year. You can't ask for more from the man who I've said before is stone cold when he's out there kicking. Davidson, the punter for Bowling Green, gets an All-American bid and, of course, Parchment for NIU at returner. Let's talk about the conference games. Southern Miss takes out Florida Atlantic in the CUSA game. Tulane over Temple in the American League as Auburn over Florida. Nevada over Boise State in a tough one. UCLA dominates 49-17 over Washington. Georgia Tech beats Florida State in a shocker. Wisconsin keeps a goose egg for Michigan State. And Western Michigan beats Miami of Ohio by 2 points. By 2 points, folks. It could have been a different story, I think, if Sanford had been in there against Western Michigan. I'm just saying it right now. So with that said, let's get into talking about the bowl game matchup. Currently, NIU is favored by Kirk Herbstreit. Personally, I don't see why. I think this Sanford team, if they run a smart enough offense, they can't lose. We've seen them beat tough competition before. And NIU is a lower Big Ten school. This is not a Michigan State. This is not a Michigan. This isn't the top tier of the Big Ten. If they're going to beat a Big Ten team, this is the team to do it. They faced Illinois to start the season. They have faced Big Ten competition. Now they've got to really show that they can beat that bigger conference competition by taking out Northwestern. This sends a message to a lot of other schools. It may not be one of those top tier schools, as I've stated, but this still sends a message to other schools all around the country that this team is a force to be reckoned with. Sanford's got 9 wins. 9 wins on the season. This is more than just beating NIU as well. You look at it, double digits are on the line. This team wants to walk out of here with 10 wins on the season. They want to throw up 2 hands to show how many wins they've got. And with the possibility and rumors going around of Mark Riley leaving, along with a lot of defensive seniors, I mean, there's a lot of question marks. This defense has to really give one last big hurrah here, in my opinion, to send them off. This team has to play for all those seniors on defense. And a name I didn't even talk about being snubbed off the All-American list, Trey McLaughlin. He had a down season, but he's still a guy you got to watch out for. You got to think he's angry about not getting that bid either. So there's a lot to watch for this year's. Let's talk about Northwestern's players to watch out for. Clayton Thorson, the senior quarterback. He's had a solid year overall. It hasn't been anything entirely dominant, but he has played well. 18-17 touchdown to interception ratio, and not great on his completion percentage, just under 50%. So it is possible that if this defense can find some good coverage, he's going to miss his intended target. So there is a good opportunity for this secondary, who has played very strong when needed to really make Thorson make a lot of mistakes. And Richard Cruz is ready for another test. He's played well all season long, and I'm sure he's going to make the quarterback think even more this game, especially. The one guy to really watch out for is, of course, the Mackey winner, tight end Cameron Green, the junior. He had a huge year, over 1,000 yards receiving, 12 touchdowns. So this is your go-to guy. The linebackers have to play good against him. McLaughlin, Bryant, Trevor, they've all got to play well if he's on them. That's a key component. On the defensive side of the football, outside linebacker Tommy Vitale. That is a guy they've got to watch out for. He may not be in the secondary, but this guy's got hands like a corner or safety. 3 interceptions on the season, leading his team. And he's got 1 defensive touchdown. So this guy can be a big threat. He's got 5 deflections. He's good in the pass game. So I've got a feeling that power run game that Sanford's so known for, they got to keep going with it. Another guy to watch out if they do throw the ball is Keith Watkins II. He's had a solid season, 32 tackles in his senior year. He was down on interceptions. I had 5 last year, only 2 this year. But he has done well in pass deflections. 13 on the year and 2 forced fumbles. So he is a tough guy in that secondary. Another reason that I say run the ball down their throats and fight them to the end. That's all the time we've got for the final edition of the Howler for the year. It's going to be a fun one. Sanford tries to break the Ford Field curse, that's for sure, in a couple weeks as they face off against the Northwestern Wildcats in the Little Cesars Pizza Bowl. I'll be there, and I hope you folks are too, as I've been Jonathan West. This has been The Howler. You've been listening to Sanford Sports Radio, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for game day. Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports Radio. My name is Jonathan West, and it is Bowl Week, folks, as the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl is about to get underway here in Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, as your Sanford College Coyotes face the Big Ten Zone Northwestern Wildcats. It's a fun one here. Northwestern more the home team in this situation, as the Coyotes from Maine aren't really that close to the building, but they are given the home team attire for this week's game. Black tops, white pants, blue hats. One of my favorite combinations personally. Like to see them wear those as much as possible. But the Coyotes ready to give their seniors a send-off. From what I heard, Coach Wolf had a meeting with all the seniors before tonight's matchup. He told them that it was a pleasure coaching these boys and that he can't wait to see how they play in this game, their final game as a Coyote, and they can raise those draft stocks. We'll see as everything gets set, and we are off here as Sammy Carter boots us away, and Northwestern will just take a knee as they'll start with the football to begin things. The Wildcats come out in a shotgun formation to begin. Thorson takes the option, and he's got room to run. That is a big first down to start, a gain of 15. McLaughlin, the senior linebacker, with the tackle. It's 1st and 10 as a no-huddle offense starts early. As Northwestern goes to the ground game, that is Moten, and guess who was there? That's Trey McLaughlin. The leader of this defense has 2 tackles early, and that was a forceful hit. 2nd and 12 in the shotgun. Still is Thorson. A little caught up on his running back. He throws on the run, just gets rid of it as that'll fall incomplete. A lot of pressure was coming in as that'll make it 3rd and 12 now. 5 wide set here for Thorson as he takes the snap. Looks to throw over the middle, and down he goes. That is Riley Lease, and that's Trey McLaughlin on his 3rd tackle of the day. Sanford takes over now after the punt from Northwestern, and my God, Claude Fleming took a shot. It's a 1-yard loss, as that's Tommy Vitale. We covered him in the Howler a couple weeks ago, and man, did that sound bad. 2nd and 11 now. The handoff goes to Fleming. That's going to be a gain of 8 yards. Good carry there for Fleming, as that's going to put him in a manageable situation. 3rd and 3 in the full house. They're going to go play action. Patrick to throw. He connects with Jennings, but Tyrone Jennings loses 2 to 3 yards on that one, as there was no one really that open downfield, so he decides to check it down. Just Jennings had no room to go. Not really anything on that play. 4th and 5 led to a punt, as Sanford had to give it back to Northwestern. And Moten's on the ground here early. That's an 8-yard run for John Moten, as that'll be a nice gain for Northwestern as they try to get a rhythm going. No huddle here. As they take the play from the sideline, it's an option as Thorson takes a hit there from Turner. He spins his way down. That's going to be a gain of 9. 1st and 10 as the no huddle continues. Moten on the ground once more. He's brought down by senior Shane Townsend, as that is a 3-yard gain. All the seniors on display today, as 2nd and 7. That is a reception for tight end Cameron Green, the Mackey Award winner. It's going to be a gain of 6, as that'll bring up 3rd and 1. The no huddle continues here as they remain in the shotgun. Handoff to Moten, and he gets enough for the first, as he's brought down by Hollis mainly, as that's going to be enough for the first down for Northwestern into Sanford territory. Still running this no huddle as they go back to Moten, and he is caught quickly. Trey McLaughlin was the first man to meet him. That's going to be a gain of 2. 2nd and 8 now. Here is shotgun formation. Thorson to throw. Nate Jim got there quick, as that falls incomplete luckily. 3rd and 8. As it's 3rd and 8 shotgun formation. Thorson to throw. He nearly gets intercepted by Dylan Trevor as that one goes off his hands. That'll set up a punt for Northern Illinois. Or I'm sorry, not Northern Illinois, it's Northwestern, as the handoff here for Bradford goes nowhere as he's stopped at the line. 2nd and 10 now. From the offset eye, it's Claude Fleming on the handoff. He's not going far. Only a gain of 1 on that run. It's a big 3rd and 9 situation. Tanner Patrick looking to throw, and he can't find anybody as he goes down. Sacked for a loss of 11. That's Tommy Carnifax with the sack, as that is a huge loss there, and that's going to mean that Sammy Carter's going to be booting this nearly out of his own end zone. That's a tough sack to take. It's solid field position here for the Wildcats. 1st and 10. Moten gets the handoff, but he's brought down. Trey McLaughlin again. You want to talk about a man showing off. That's 4 tackles already. The senior linebacker, captain of this defense, is all over the field today. 1st and 10 as the man in motion is the 2nd tight end. And he's not able to do much as Trey McLaughlin gets back there again, stopping Moten at the line. 3rd and 9. As the snap is taken by Thorson. Out of the shotgun, they throw to Cameron Green. Guess who made the tackle? If you guessed McLaughlin, you're right, as that brings up 4th and 4. Sanford with the ball back on offense after the Wildcats punt, and that's Tyrone Jennings on the run. He's not going to get much. Gets back to the line. 2nd and 10 now, shotgun formation. As Patrick to throw, he connects with Fleming on the screen, and he's got a little bit of room. That's going to be a gain of around 7 or 8 yards. Sets up a manageable 3rd and short to end the first quarter. It's all tied up at 0-0 at the end of the first. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanford Sports Radio. It's the beginning of the second quarter of play, and the Coyotes begin with a jet sweep to Herb Fellows. That's a 5-yard gain and enough for the first. First and 10, it's play action. Patrick to throw. Wide open, Duran Costello. 20-yard reception and a big first down. As the third completion of the day for Tanner Patrick. He's perfect so far, 3 for 3. First and 10, pistol formation for Sanford. They're going option. Some good blocks up front as Patrick fights off a one would-be tackler. That's a 25-yard gain for the quarterback. That's exactly what you want to see out of your mobile quarterback, as that was just beautifully run. Good blocks by everyone in front of him. I saw Ty McIntyre making a nice block there. First and 10 once again as Tyrone Jennings takes the handoff. It's going to be a gain of 2 as this ground game has continued to be the main attack focus. Second and 8, I formation. They go right back to the ground. That's Jennings as he fights. That's a 9-yard gain and enough for the first. Went around that right side, found some room, and he fought for that first down. First and 10, I formation again, but they're going to throw. Patrick rolling out. He throws, and it's taken away by Fox. The linebacker with the interception, as I believe he wanted to throw that over Nathan Fox, and I believe his intended target was Rob Thomas, but that is a huge mistake. The first pick of the day here, and the first turnover entirely of the day, as Moten takes up a 7-yard gain here, right up the gut. Sanford now has to fight back after that interception. It's 2nd and 6. Out of a pistol, it's Moten back on the ground. Jason Turner, though, comes fighting in, and that's going to be only a 2-yard gain. 3rd and 4 as the no-huddle continues. Thorson just throws it away. He saw pressure early, I take it, and that ball was quickly out of his hands. Good field position for the Coyotes as they are starting already in Wildcat territory as Fleming with a great 9-yard run. He did not want to go down for anybody. 2nd and 1, Patrick under center. He hands off to Jennings. Plenty of room for Tyrone Jennings as that's a 9-yard gain and a new set of downs. It's been a good day on the ground for everybody involved so far as play action here by Patrick. Nobody open, he'll just throw it away. That is a smart play by Tanner there. 2nd and 10 here in the shotgun. Patrick looking for the screen again. He finds Fleming. Good blocks him up front as that's going to be a gain of around 9.5, 10 yards. They won't give him the first down though. 3rd and inches, I form. Hand off to Bradford, and the fullback gets enough. 4-yard gain for Antoine Bradford off the dive. 1st and 10, Patrick takes the snap, looks to throw. He connects with Tremaine Dingle in the end zone. That is how you respond after throwing a pick. A touchdown to Tremaine Dingle from Tanner Patrick puts Sanford on the board first, 7-0. Thorson takes the option here. Guess who just made another big play? The leader of this defense is on fire today. Trey McLaughlin with a 4-yard stuff on Thorson. 2nd and 14. Shotgun formation. Thorson hands off to Moten. And Northwestern's having some trouble. That's a 5-yard gain. Solid enough for this offense. But they're sitting at 3rd and 9. They need a big play here if they want a chance. Thorson to throw. Going deep, Cruz in coverage, and that's overthrown for his intended target. Cruz had great coverage on that one. 1st and 10, more good field position here as they go back to the option. Does Sanford, as that's going to be a gain of about 1 as Patrick tripped up on a down defender. 2nd and 9, offset I, handoff goes to Fleming. He's got room around that left side. Finds enough room for a 12-yard gain and a big first down. This ground game has been pinpoint perfect. 1st and 10, play action. Patrick to throw. Connects with Rob Thomas. Robert Thomas, 29 yards. They're back in the red zone, folks. What a play. Rob Thomas gets thrown open by Tanner Patrick. That's the key component to put there. A great play by both parts. As 1st and 10 here with less than a minute to go in the half, they go option. Patrick fights as he gets pushed. Nearly thought he was losing the football there. Gets about enough for the first down. They call him inches short at about the 1.5. 2nd and inches, hand off to Fleming. Good blocking. Touchdown, Coyotes. As they are now up by 2 possessions over the Northwestern Wildcats. I take it every Big Ten fan is dumbfounded right now. It's back to Northwestern football here as Thorson hands off to Moten. They've got less than 20 seconds left here. They take their first time out after the 6-yard gain. 2nd and 4 here. Thorson in a 5-wide set. He's going to throw, connects with Cameron Green, the big tight end. That's a 19-yard gain as he gets out of bounds. 13 seconds left on the clock before this half comes to an end. So they got maybe 2, maybe 3 shots left. 1st and 10, shotgun formation. Thorson to throw. He goes to the sideline and it's intercepted but out of bounds. That's Dustin Jordan on coverage. 8 seconds remain here. Shotgun formation. Man in motion's Green. As Thorson takes the snap, looks to throw, connects with Fessler over the middle. They'll have to take a timeout. 4 seconds remain between this and the second half of play. 3rd and 5. Thorson going to give it a Hail Mary toss. As that is caught by Nagel and into the end zone. 45-yard touchdown pass from Clayton Thorson to Nagel. That's going to put him on the board as it's 7-14 at halftime here, folks. As we'll be back with the second half of play. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. Welcome back, folks, to the Sanford Sports Radio. This is the 3rd quarter kickoff. The second half underway here now as Jackson's got room to run. Pat Jackson up the sideline to the 45, down at around the 47-yard line. Great starting field position for Sanford as they handoff quickly goes to Fleming. 7-yard gain here on 1st down. They're already in Wildcat territory. 2nd and 3 in the pistol. Handoff. Patrick, though, has room to run. And Rob Thomas was putting some lead blocks in play there, but Patrick gets taken down before he can reach him. That's a 13-yard gain, though. 1st and 10. Handoff goes to Tyrone Jennings. Up the gut he goes for a gain of 5. Even dragged a defender for about an extra half yard. 2nd and 5 now. Shotgun formation. Patrick looks to throw. Setting up another screen for Fleming, and he gets off of what should have been a loss of yardage and manages to find 1 yard. I'll take it. That should have been a loss of about 4. 3rd and 4. Handoff goes to Fleming. He breaks off of one would-be tackle and can't get enough. He'll gain 2 yards, though, on the carry. As Jackson Stone will take the points. That is good on the, I believe, around 42-yarder. So it's another perfect field goal by Jackson Stone. Still a 2-possession ball game. Sanford up 17-7. Here is Moten, can't find room. He's brought down by Shane Townsend. That's a loss of 3. All the seniors are putting on a show today, folks. It's great to watch. 2nd and 12. Thorson hands off. No, it's an option as Cruz is right on top of it. Richard Cruz with a tackle, forcing only a gain of 2. 3rd and 10 here. Thorson looks to throw. He goes deep. That's Cruz on coverage, and that's deflected. Should have been intercepted, but I'll take the deflection. I'm sure you folks at home will. Northwestern had to punt after the deflection as it's back to Sanford. That is a gain of 1 for Claude Fleming. He's had a tough day today as of lately. Started off well, it's gotten tougher. It's 2nd and 9. Handoff goes to Jennings, and he is stuffed. A loss of 1 there. So I believe that was, yes indeed, Nathan Fox who stopped him. Fox now with a big tackle for losses as well as this big interception. 3rd and 10. It's play action here for Patrick. Looks to throw. Can't get it off in time, but he was able to at least make his hand go forward. It'll fall incomplete. Sanford had to punt, so it's back to Northwestern as Thorson takes off on the option. It'll be only a gain of 2 as Irvin, one of the men who got there. 2nd and 8. Shotgun formation. Thorson takes the snap. He looks to roll out. He's got room as a good block pushing Flash Gibson out of the way, and Thorson with a huge gain down to around the 29-yard line of Sanford. As the no huddle continues here for Northwestern, they got a chance to really do some damage now. As Thorson takes the snap, hands off to Moten. That's going to be only a gain of around 4. Moten has not had a great day on the ground. He has not been the most trustworthy guy to give the ball to. 2nd and 6 as the no huddle continues. Fessler, the man in motion, and Thornton to throw. He connects with Nagel, who got the touchdown to begin. Flynn Nagel with 15 yards, and that's going to put them inside the red zone. And around the 10-yard line here as the no huddle continues. 1st and 10 out of shotgun. Thorson goes to the option again. He's dragged down by senior senior. I've entirely lost myself there. Ronnie Hansen with the tackle. There we go. I found it. As 2nd and 7. It's Moten on a screen, and he's gotten down to the 1-yard line. That is a gain of 7 as Hall is able to bring him down. It looks like Moten is down on the turf. Moten out of the ball game for now. Handoff goes to Anderson, and he is stuffed on 3rd and inches. That is Turner with the tackle. As that was, I believe, Otis Griffin who really started the stuff, finished up by Turner. And Northwestern will settle for 3. It's a 1-possession game once again. Think Ronnie Hansen there early on. I'm sorry I couldn't get his name out there. But the senior really started it all off. As Sanford takes back over on offense, Patrick rolling out. He wanted a play action pass. Couldn't find anybody. Just makes 8 yards out of it himself. 2nd and 2 now, still in the shotgun. Handoff goes to Fleming, but he is caught. That is going to be a loss of about half a yard. As that will take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Sanford on top, 17-10 right now. There's 1 quarter left to play until Sanford's crowned victors if they can keep this up. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. The final quarter of play after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanford Sports Radio. It's 17-10. Sanford with the ball here to start the 4th as Tanner Patrick is dropped. A 4-yard loss by Tommy Carnifax. That is a big loss, and that's going to force a Carter punt. Wait a minute, though. Fleming is down on the turf. This does not look good. 1st and 10 here for Northwestern. We will have more news for you folks on Fleming as I get it. So nonetheless, that is an incompletion there off the helmet of an offensive lineman. 2nd and 10, Thorson to throw. He connects with Flynn Nagel, and that's going to be a hell of a gain, 18 yards and a 1st down as they enter Coyote territory. 1st and 10, still in the shotgun. Thorson looks to throw. He connects with Fessler as that is, Shane Townsend. I thought at first it was Trey McLaughlin, but Townsend makes the big tackle. 2nd and 10. Thorson hands off to Moten. He's got room to run, and he is brought down. That time it is Trey McLaughlin on the tackle. He has had a busy, busy day. 3rd and 6. Shotgun formation is Thornton to throw. Over the middle, and that falls incomplete. Great coverage by Dustin Jordan. 4th and 6, and the Northwestern offense is out there. Thorson to throw. He connects with Fessler. A big hit. Forces the ball loose. It's picked up by Turner. Flash Gibson with a big hit to force that fumble. It's then recovered by senior Jason Turner, and that is Coyotes football. As number 5 not happy to see another number 5 out on the field along with him. 1st and 10 here as Tom Joseph's in the ball game now with Fleming out for the remainder of the day. It is another concussion situation. They are very worried of how serious this could be. 1st and 10 handoff goes to Tyrone Jennings here. This team now fighting for Claude Fleming as well here, at least on the offensive side. That's a 7-yard gain for Jennings. 2nd and 3 here, still in the offset eye. They hand it right back off to Tyrone Jennings, and he fights for that 1st down, 5-yard gain. This offense continues to chew up clock. 1st and 10, draw goes to Tom Joseph, a little bit surprising there. That's a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7, Patrick to throw. Going deep, that's Tremaine Dingle. 24-yard reception for the junior. As a big connection there. We don't call Tremaine Dingle's name much, but a big catch. He hangs on after a big hit. 1st and 10. As Patrick setting up another screen. This one's for, I believe, yes indeed, Jennings. Tyrone Jennings with a 9-yard gain on that screen play. 2nd and 1. Patrick under center. He's going to hand off to Joseph, and that's going to be enough for the 1st. He fights forward for a gain of 2. 1st and 10 in the pistol. Less than 3.5 minutes left is the option. Patrick finds room. Touchdown, Sanford. 17-yard touchdown run for Tanner Patrick. They went with the power option. We don't see that a lot here in Sanford, but it worked out, and good blocking up front creates a small enough hole for Patrick to get through. 24-10 is your score right now as Northwestern tries to fight back here. Riley Lease with a 3-yard gain. No huddle starts here once again for Northwestern as it's 2nd and 7. Just over 3 minutes left in this ball game as Thorson takes the snap. As the pressure comes in, Shane Townsend, the senior, picking up what may be his last sack here as a Coyote. A huge, huge final statement by the senior defensive end. 3rd and 15 here as Thorson takes the snap, setting up a screen for Moten, and that is clocked out, or that is sniffed out easy by John Moten. Or I'm sorry, not John Moten, Dustin Jordan. Moten loses 5. Jordan with the big hit. Overly excited here in the booth, folks, as this is all Sanford right now. 2.5 minutes remain. Sanford gets the ball back after the Northwestern punt as they'll just run it. And that's Tyrone Jennings 10 yards up the gut as the timeouts begin to be taken by Northwestern. 2 more 1st downs, folks, and I think this is over as the handoff goes to Bradford. He'll stumble but find his footing. That's going to be a 3-yard gain. 2nd timeout taken by Northwestern. 2nd and 7, handoff. No, it's an option. Patrick, 1st down and slides. That will be the final timeout taken. They can really just take a knee now, as they're still coming out in the pistol here on 1st and 10. Handoff goes to Jennings, and he's up the gut. Looks like he's going to get an extra 1st down for him. Folks, that's the game. The Sanford Coyotes finally have won a bowl game. It took 3 seasons to get here to victory in a bowl game. They lost last year in this same building, in Ford Field, in the Little Cesars Pizza Bowl. Well, guess what? A year later, it's a Sanford Coyote victory. Kirk Herbstreit didn't take them to win this ball game. I don't know how many other people didn't have Sanford coming out on top against Northwestern, but nonetheless, this team started the season losing against a Big Ten opponent. They finish this season beating a Big Ten opponent. It all comes full circle for these seniors, for all of these Coyotes players, and for coaches Martin, Riley, and most importantly, head coach Darren Wolf, as this is a huge victory for Sanford, the first bowl victory in team history. And what better way to send off these seniors? Trey McLaughlin had an amazing day. Just about 15 tackles. I believe he had 14 total on the day. A huge day for Shane Townsend getting his final sack of his career here in this game. The seniors showed off. It was amazing. As you've been listening to Sanford Sports Radio, I've been Jonathan West. Your final once again, 24-10, Sanford are your victors. Okay guys, out of commentary mode here, I just want to say thank you once again for a very, very fun season. Sanford College football. You guys have been loving the series, and I love to see all the enjoyment here for this. The live stream for this season's offseason will be happening tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern. There will be a scheduled live stream going up here later today. I can't tell you exactly when. It'll be after you guys see this upload more than likely. You can, of course, hit the reminder button to remind you about that, but I just wanted to give you guys the update right here, right now. 2 o'clock Eastern, tomorrow, Saturday, the 21st. And we'll get to some more Sanford College offseason. Say goodbye to these seniors. I may tear up a bit. I'll see you guys then.